Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your community flow. I know it's a little early this morning. Apologies for that. I'm had double booked with a retreat. And speaking of the retreat, I left my mat and my blocks, everything there. So I'm just gonna make do with the stuff I have. I have a bolster, but if you have blocks, definitely have those handy. We're gonna start with some gentle movement. And then we'll move in and end with our yin poses. So let's begin in child's pose. Go ahead and bring your big toes together. Let your hips fall towards your heels, knees nice and wide, and let your torso sink down into the mat. You can walk your fingers towards the top of your mat. Lift your palms. Find a little stretch down the arms, down the sides of the torso, into the shoulders. Take a breath in, maybe lift a little off of the mat. And then as you exhale, let your upper body just sink down. You can rest on your forehead, maybe one cheek. And you can move your hips a little side to side, especially if you've just woken up. Getting a little bit of circulation, blood flowing throughout your body. And then just take another breath in. And exhale, let it go. Go ahead and tense your fingers again. Take your left arm, thread it underneath the right, coming onto the left shoulder, the left cheek, and then relax your top arm. You might even take it into a half bind, reaching for the low back or the left thigh. Taking a breath in and out. Then go ahead and return your right hand to the mat. Lift up. Take your left arm to meet your right. Sink down for a breath. And then we'll lift up again. Take the right arm, thread it underneath the left, coming onto the right shoulder, the right cheek. And your palm may be flipped up so it's facing the ceiling. And just breathing into this gentle twist. Staying for one more full breath in. And out. Then go ahead and untwist. Come back into your child's pose. Round through your spine as you rise up into a tabletop. Go ahead and adjust your knees so they're under your hips, feet directly behind, wrists under the shoulders, and start to move into a couple of cat-cows, lifting your gaze. Exhaling, rounding through your spine. Feel your belly hollow out. Inhale, sinking your belly, sinking your spine, looking up. And then exhale, press the mat away, rounding, feeling that space across your upper back, chin to chest. One more. Inhale. Feel the spine beginning to wake up. Exhale, round. Keep that round in your spine. Tuck your toes. Let your hips sink back towards your heels. Feeling that stretch all the way from the fingers down your arms, down the spine. And just let the head hang in between your arms. Feel a nice little sensation in the bottoms of the feet as you stretch all those tissues. Take one more breath in and out. Then inhale, coming back to your tabletop. Walk your hands about a print forward. Keep your toes tucked. Start to lift your knees to hover. And then send your hips to the back of the mat as you find downward facing dog. Press your hands evenly down into the mat. Feel the shoulders spread apart away from the spine, wrapping around the side ribs. And just feeling that space in the upper back. Keeping a broadening across your chest. And just let your head hang in between your arms. You might walk it out. Give yourself some movement. Waking up the legs now. Shifting your hips a little side to side. And take one more breath, just finding your movement. After your exhale, come back to your downward facing dog. Press the mat away. Shift your hips back. And then start to walk your hands towards your toes at the back of the mat. Find a forward fold and just hang here, dangle. You can bend your knees. Let your belly rest on your thighs. Sway a bit side to side. Breathing in and out. And then place your hands down. Inhale to a half lift. Let the shoulders roll back. Exhale to fold. Inhale, press your feet down as you rise all the way to stand. Exhale, hands to your heart center, finding Tadasana, your mountain pose. And then inhale, rise your arms. Exhale, swan dive forward, back into your forward fold. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, plant your hands, start to walk all the way back into a downward facing dog or a plank. For this first plank, you might like to drop your knees or keep your knees lifted. Hug your elbows into the side ribs as you slowly lower all the way down, belly and chest landing ideally at the same time. Untuck your toes and point them away. And then inhale, curling up into a cobra. Exhale, slowly lowering back down, almost like a wave. And then bring your hands nice and wide. Inhale, curling up again, lifting into your cobra, finding a nice extension in your spine. And then exhale, lowering back down. Hands come underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, pressing up and back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale, release. Then look towards the top of your mat. Tiptoe your feet all the way to meet your hands at the top of your mat this time. Find your forward fold. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, plant your feet, rise all the way to stand. Root your feet, I mean. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, rise the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale to fold. And then walk your feet all the way back out to your plank or your downward facing dog. You can keep your knees down like we did the first time, or keep them lifted, and then lower all the way down to your belly and chest. Untuck the toes, point them away. Inhale, curling up into your cobra. Exhale, release. Bring the hands nice and wide. Inhale, curling up into cobra. And release. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes. Find your downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and out. Then again, walk your hands back to your feet, feeling a nice stretch and lengthening in the back of your legs, forward fold. And then inhale to your half lift. Exhale to fold. Root your feet, press them down as you rise all the way to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, rise your arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, walk your hands all the way back out. Last time in your plank, I swear. High plank or knees down. You can also just stay in downward facing dog. And then lower as you exhale all the way down to the mat. Inhale, curling up into cobra. Exhale to release. Wide cobra, hands nice and wide. Inhale, curl up. And exhale to release. Stay here on your belly. Go ahead and plant your arms down. Elbows just in front of your shoulders. We're going to come into a shorter sphinx, not quite 3 minutes, maybe like around 2. You can place your hands down on the mat, or you could grab onto opposite shoulders. You could bring the palms together, whatever feels good. And if you feel like this is a little bit too much extension, too much back bending for this morning, then walk your elbows a little forward. You can walk them as far forward as you'd like, or you could stack your arms, rest your forehead down on your stacked arms for a crocodile pose. In the same respect, if you feel like you need a little bit more sensation, then go ahead and press your hands down, straighten your arms for a seal pose. And just breathing into the compression in your low back. Feeling this sensation trickle all the way up the spine and maybe down below the lumbar into the sacral lumbar area. You might feel this in your abdomen, maybe a gentle massage to the abdomen resting on your mat. And just noticing without labeling, without judging. Also noticing that if you are doing this class early in the morning, that your flexibility may not be quite what it normally is. Your tissues may be a little cooler, a little stiffer as you just start to wake up and begin your day. Go ahead and take another breath in. And then exhale, lower down onto your belly, just taking a few moments here. Letting the tissues rebound. Letting them settle after this gentle stress. Taking a couple of breaths in, a couple of breaths out. Feeling fully relaxed. And then when you're ready, plant your hands underneath your shoulders. Start to press the mat away as you lift up, maybe coming through tabletop, taking a few cat-cows. And then we'll eventually end in downward facing dog, being very extra cautious and gentle as you round your spine. Maybe taking this more as a slower, one segment, one vertebrae at a time movement. You can linger in your exhale, maybe rounding your spine for an extra moment or two. And then when you're ready, tuck your toes, find your downward facing dog. Send your hips to the back of the mat. Feel that nice stretch in the backs of your legs. Breathing in and out. Then with your next inhale, step your right foot in between your hands, drop your back knee, and we're just going to come into a gentle lunge twist. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Keep driving your left hand down to lift, keeping your shoulder hooked into the socket. Drop your top shoulder back into the socket, almost like you can feel that top shoulder blade pressing, hugging into the spine. And then if you like, you can cactus your arm back, giving a little bit more opening into your chest. And then exhale, circle your arm down to frame your foot. Step back into your downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And then inhale, step your left foot in between your hands. Drop your back knee. Finding that lunge twist. Left fingers reaching up towards the ceiling. Right hand driving down, pressing into the mat. One long line of energy from the left fingertips all the way down to the right. Let your hips drop down and forward. And then start to bend your elbow. Draw your arm back. Getting just a little bit more stretch across the chest. A little bit more twist in the spine. Take a breath in. And then exhale, circle the left hand down to frame your foot. One more time, downward facing dog. Deep breath in and out. On your next inhale, you're going to bring your right knee behind your right wrist, finding a swan pose. So half pigeon in your more active young classes, swan in a more yin style class. If this doesn't work for you, you can bend your back knee and come into more of a deer pose, or you can take this supine on your back in a figure four. So finding what works best for your body, staying a little bit more upright to begin. And we'll be here for a total of 3 minutes. If you would like to, you could grab a prop, maybe blocks or a bolster, pillow like I have here. Set your hands on the bolster. And then again, finding that extension in your spine. Let your shoulders roll back, creating this proud, open quality across your chest. And take another breath in. As you exhale, you can start to lower down. Maybe you bring your elbows to blocks or a bolster. You can lay as flat as you'd like, resting your body over a bolster. You can rest your chest. You can lay on one cheek or set your forehead on a block. Lots of options here. And just finding your variation of sleeping swan that works best for you this morning. If you feel like this right hip, this back hip is lifting off the mat, you can set a blanket underneath your hip, just adding a little bit of support, using the props you have around you, even a towel, to lift the mat a little closer to you, providing enough support that you feel like you can relax even deeper. So that you can surrender and melt into your mat. And just let your breath flow with a steady rhythm, feeling the breath move into the hip, breathing into all the different layers in this outer hip. Maybe you're starting to feel a warming sensation. Noticing where that warmth spreads to. Does it spread into the spine, down into your leg? Maybe you feel something all the way to the very tips of your toes. Just being that observer, being with the experience. And go ahead and stay here for one more full breath. And then when you're ready, gently lifting up away from the mat. If you have a prop, go ahead and set it aside. And come to lay on your belly just for a moment. If you'd like something more active, you could take another downward facing dog. Or just rest here in crocodile. Let your forehead connect with the arms. Let your shoulders relax away from the ears. And just gently breathe in and out. Noticing how your right leg feels compared to your left. Does your right leg feel like it's a little longer maybe? There's some cooling or warming sensations moving all the way down the leg. Just noticing what's there. And then after your next full breath, go ahead and plant your hands, lift up through tabletop, and we'll take our sleeping or our swan to begin on the other side. So bring your left knee behind your left wrist. And remember, you have an option to take deer pose. So find the option that works best for you. If you'd like some support under the back hip, go ahead and place a blanket underneath your back hip. Your hands can be on a prop like I have, or they can be on the mat. Resting on the top of the back thigh if you're in swan, pressing the mat or your prop away. Getting full extension. Let the shoulders roll back. Even drawing the tops of the ears back. Aligning the back of your neck with the rest of your spine. And letting your chest proudly press through the gate of your arms keeping that open quality. And then take another breath in. As you exhale, you can go ahead and start to lower down as much as you'd like. Either your elbows rest down, your hands could still be on the mat. And just taking notice of how this left hip feels compared to the right. Are there any differences? Does one hip feel like it settles on the mat a little flatter or without restriction? Does your breath shift at all? Is there a difference? And just noticing without any need to fix it. Observing this experience as just that, an experience. And if you have some room, you might deepen a little bit. Maybe resting a little closer to the mat. If you feel like you don't need the props, you can set them aside. And just letting your attention rest on your breath. And gentle ebb and flow of your breath. Staying with this for just another moment. And then gently pressing yourself back up, rolling on to that back hip. And then we'll come into our Shavasana. So I'm going to give you an option. You can lie flat on your back, or if you have a bolster or even a blanket, you could roll your mat even and have your mat lined up vertical down your spine, just like I have this bolster. If you want some extra support, you could take a blanket, lay it over the top of the bolster for your head. And I'm just going to lay back. So I have a little bit of space. I know I'm wearing dark clothing and I have a dark mat today, but I've got about 6 inches between my pelvis and the bolster when I lay back. Same thing with a block. So it's, a rolled blanket. So it's almost like the bottom of the bolster is towards the bottom of my ribs. And then I'm just going to lay back, giving myself a nice chest opening pose to end with. This is your Shavasana. We'll be here a little bit longer than we normally are. Just taking a moment to rest before we start the rest of our day, ending our week. So feeling your head in contact with your prop. If you're lifted on a bolster or a blanket, feeling this openness across your chest, a gentle tugging on the tissues. And the back of your ribs being supported. Feel your low back dripping off of the prop. And your pelvis resting on the mat. Sense the heaviness of your legs. These legs that are fully relaxed, feet turning out. No effort anywhere in the body. Your breath being natural, easeful. Your eyes closing very softly. No gripping or clenching. The cheeks just slack. Your jaw unclenched. Your tongue falling away from the roof of your mouth. And just resting in the awareness of your breath. Moving in and out through your nose. No matter how relaxed you are right now, see if you can be even 10% more relaxed. Can you breathe into any areas of stiffness, any areas of tension, and let go? Just breathing gently for another minute or so. Taking advantage of this time you have to yourself. This time is for you and no one else. Always remembering, if we don't take care of ourselves, we are no good to anyone else. And every time you come to the mat, you're honoring your body and your mind with self-care. And feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. Or if you'd like, start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, rock your head a little side to side. You could start to come off of your prop, and if you'd like, roll to one side for a few moments, resting your head in the crook of your arm. You might like to take a full body stretch. But eventually, with your eyes closed, your gaze soft, support yourself back to a seat on your mat, only when you're ready. And once you arrive there, your hands can rest in your lap, or you can bring your palms together, your heart center. And taking in another deep breath of gratitude and appreciation for your practice. Exhaling anything that no longer serves you. I thank you all for sharing your practice and your presence and giving me the honor to guide you this morning. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Thank you.